Coming up on this weekend's broadcast, we'll talk about crops across a wide area of the country. Hello, everyone. Welcome to This Week in AgriBusiness. Mr. Pearson, you've been traveling, as always.
As always, had the chance to work with bankers up in the Pacific Northwest, and Max, they are optimistic about their massive snowpack this year, 240% of average across places in the Mountain West. But of course, we've got to check in to see what's happening in the middle part of the country as well.
Oh, yes, we like to check often in the heart of the country, and Missouri is about as much in the heart of the country as you can be, Mike. We're going to talk to the Director of Agriculture for the state of Missouri, CHINN. Joins us here this weekend on our broadcast. Have you been busy?
It's been a busy spring. We've had a lot of our farmers in the fields planning, getting their crops in. We're way ahead of schedule. So as long as we keep getting some rain, more than we have been for most of the state, we should be in good shape when it comes to getting our crops in.
There was some good early planting of your soybean crop, I noted, and then those soils dried out some. But I did see in the most recent weekly crop bulletin, actually the drought monitor map I was looking at, there had been some improvement in the soil moisture.
Yes, last week we were over 84% of the state was in a drought condition. This week we're in 60% drought condition, so we have seen improvement. Many areas of the state were able to get some rain over the last week, which was a blessing. However, our cattlemen and women are still desperately needing rains for the pastures. We're hoping that we get some timely rain on our pastures in many areas of the state so we don't have to send cows to be cold.
That could be a challenge, to be sure. One thing you note is there's great diversity across the agriculture of Missouri, and as you visit with growers, what kind of attitude overall are you sensing from them? We've seen some of the markets struggling, of course, and the cost of doing business have been elevated.
You know, they're cautiously optimistic. There's a lot of farmers who feel like things are going to get better. We are seeing some prices fall right now, and that's kind of normal this time of year. When you see corn and beans, cotton, rice getting planted, we do see our numbers start to go down, but there's opportunity for export markets. That's always a bright spot. And the recent announcement with the E15 being able to be sold year-round was great news for our corn farmers in Missouri.
Often this time of the year, we see a rush to get some things done in our state capitals as lawmakers are working against a deadline in some states. What's happening in your state? Are there key pieces of state legislation that you're watching or working on now?
Well, we were watching some legislation very closely, and I'm happy to say what we were watching made it across the finish line last week. We had a legislative proposal that would allow us to address some of our fees in the Weights and Measures Division. Some of those fees have not been adjusted since the 1950s, so that was really important to us, and so we were excited to get that across the finish line. We also were excited that we got some much needed updates to our land survey division that's going to allow us just to be more current with today's technology.
We noticed the news, of course, a few weeks ago. Smithfield was pulling back a little bit in the hog industry in your state. How significant is something like that? How important are those swine operations and the families that are participating in the hog industry?
Well, in Missouri, the pork production industry is sometimes our number 6, number 7 when it comes nationally to where we place. We kind of go back and forth with a couple other states. So it's a very large industry in the state of Missouri. The news actually took a lot of our hog farmers by surprise. They're cautiously optimistic that it's going to actually help weather the storm. In the short term, the news is going to have an impact on the cull sow market. And so that's going to have a huge impact on our independent family farmers' bottom dollar. But long term, we look for it to help with the supply and demand issue that we're seeing right now in the pork industry.
In many of our states, we're seeing interesting things going on even in the cities related to urban agriculture. Is that the case in Kansas City and St. Louis, for example?
Absolutely. We keep seeing more urban farms popping up. There's more interest in it. People are trying to be more sustainable. And, COVID actually increased that interest. It was there pre-COVID, but since COVID happened, we are seeing more interest in farming in the urban area. A lot of that is through greenhouses. Some of it is rooftop. Others is just trying to supply the farmers markets in areas where there are no grocery stores, where we have some food deserts.
Many of our farmers have faced challenges trying to work around the cities, of course, with the mass of the population right there by them. But at the same time, it does offer opportunity, doesn't it? We know some cow-calf people in Missouri who really have been trying to serve that freezer beef market.
That's right. That has really been something that's been a bright light in agriculture since 2020. There are more people who are interested in purchasing their pork and their beef directly from the farm. They want to get a quarter or a half and put in their freezer. And so that's really added a lot of value to our beef industry and our pork industry in the state. Another thing that really helped that surge was the investment that was made into the small and medium-sized meat processors. We invested a lot in grant dollars to help them, $20 million. And so we're now seeing that come to fruition because there's more opportunities for farmers to get those butcher appointments, to get that freezer beef available in the urban areas.
We always appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you along the way somewhere, maybe the Farm Progress Show later this summer. Chris, thank you.
Thank you, Max.
Chris CHINN, Director of Agriculture in Missouri.